Nepomniatchchi with the white pieces started with e4, Dingler played e5, knight f3, knight c6, and we have the Ruy Lopez, which is featured very heavily in the World Championship so far. a6, bishop a4, and knight f6, the Morphy defense. Castles, bishop e7, and now we have the closed Ruy Lopez. d3, b5, bishop d3. d6, all standard moves. White tries to get the d4 break and make space for the bishop, while black develops the bishop and tries to move the knight and play c5. Castles by Ding. Nepo plays h3, just controlling g4 against the pin. Bishop e7, bishop e3, and after knight a5, bishop c2, and c5. Knight d2, rook e8. Here Nepo strikes at the a pawn with a4, and now h6 by Ding, d4. Nepo decides to break open the ender with this pawn break on d4. Takes, and Ding takes again on d4, allowing himself an isolated pawn on d6, but the pieces have a lot of files to play on and diagonals. Knight c4, and here Nepo took, and this position can become uncomfortable for Nepo because the pawn is controlling squares and the rook can attack the backward b pawn. So f3, this was played a bit too fast, and now bishop f8. Ding has a slight advantage. Ding plays d5. Black gets rid of that isolated pawn in the center, and suddenly black's pieces are all active. Here Nepo played bishop e4. Ding has a good move like rook b8 in this position, keeping an eye on b2 and removing the pin on the bishop. But instead Ding went for rook e5. This was a slight miss to get an advantage for black. If he had played rook b8, Nepo would definitely be on the back foot. Only black could take things forward from there. Now rook c1 by Nepo. Ding plays rook c8, knight e2, and queen e7. Queen d4, pawn f5. Pawn f5 is basically an invitation to play bishop g3, because bishop g3 was anyway a threat. And now if the rook moves, the knight hangs. Right? Knight hangs with check, so you can't take on e2. So the idea for Ding here is after bishop g3, Ding goes with a very nice exchange sack. Takes, and takes. So what does Ding have in exchange for the exchange sacrifice? He can get his knight to this nice d3 square, where it controls everything. That is the main compensation. And there's a pass pawn, and this pawn is gripping both the important squares. And the bishop pair, controlling things. So now rook d1. Because if you can get both rooks to the 7th rank, white would definitely be better. Knight b4, black heads to d3, but before that, white heads down to the 7th rank. Bishop c5 check, king moves, and bishop c6. The rook has no squares on the 7th rank though. There's no space, which means he has to play rook c7, and now it is pretty equal because there's just one rook and it can't do that much damage. And this rook itself is limited because once a knight lands here, this pawn is weak. Bishop d5, defending the c4 pawn. And now after knight c3, knight d3. A nice move because if you take that, rook hangs. So the rook has to move to c2. Now bishop c6. Black has good control and the pawn can become a threat anytime. So the white rook is not able to go in to invade. Pawn a5, king f7, and rook e2. The knight is controlling all the important squares. f2 is controlled by the bishop and the knight. Knight c1. The rook moves. If the rook moves away, the pressure on e4 is gone, and black cannot defend this pawn in any other way. He has to keep repeating. So Ding repeats, knight d3, and Nepo also shows no inclination to make any other progress. He just repeats, because what else can he do? The rook has no future. It's just a piece sitting there covering b2 and attacking e4. And the repeat moves, and here after rook e2, the game is drawn, which leaves the score at 6.5, 6.5. And there is one game left in the World Championship. And in that, Ding will be white. If that is a draw, then we'll have the tie breaks, rapid tie breaks.